Those comments from the Middlesbrough camp I thought were really interesting, Richard. I think you were playing for Man City at the time when Abramovich came in and changed everything in English football in terms of the investment in the club. And then when you see what Steve Gibson, the Middlesbrough chairman, said yesterday, he said, I can't believe it. Sporting integrity and Chelsea do not belong in the same sentence. For 19 years, corrupt money has fueled Chelsea's success. This rotten football club, Chelsea, it's, these kind of comments. To what extent do you think that what has happened in recent weeks has tainted the success that Chelsea enjoyed over the last almost 2 decades?
I think when you look back on the history of English football and you look at the big clubs like Man United, like Liverpool, like Arsenal, teams who have built their success up from the ground, and then you look at Chelsea, who sort of exploded onto the scene overnight and started to win trophies, you do think, well, have they done it fairly? Have they got there in the way that the traditional clubs have done it? And no, they haven't. They've benefited from, obviously, from, we'd call it dirty money, I suppose, now. But then you look at the whole basis of English football, the whole European football, all the other clubs around Europe who are happy to take Chelsea's money for their players and stuff like that, they all become part of it as well. So it's not right, but it's very difficult to pin it solely on Chelsea. Like they're the only ones that knew, because for a long time there's been whispers about Abramovich and where his money has come from, and the whole of football has benefited from it. And there was talks maybe before there should have been sanctions, there should have been limits on what they can spend and all that stuff, but people just let it go and let it go and let it go. And then obviously it's ended up now with this disastrous tragedy in Ukraine, and they've been punished now, but it's a long time in coming almost. And I think there's been talks before about the fit and proper test for owners of English football clubs, and it's all right in hindsight saying, but you look around, you look at Newcastle and you think, well, is that clean? Is that clear? Is that going to become a problem further down the line? And that is a problem for the British government, for the Premier League, and I suppose European football in total. And Chelsea are in a bad situation at the moment. Nobody's feeling sorry for them because of what's happened. And I agree with Brian, what they come out and done to Middlesbrough, trying to turn a situation where they've almost been found out, they've been held to arms almost to say, look, this is the problem. They've tried to turn it to their advantage by banning fans from other teams coming to watch games, and I think it's a case of, like Brian said again about Thomas Tuchel, he's been the one sort of steady person at that club who's spoken clearly, spoken really well, with a clear direction of where he sees things. And the sooner Chelsea can get back to thinking about football and concentrating onto the pitch, I'm sure they'll be happier. But I think for them to move forward, that they need to keep that focus on the field. They need to, even tonight, the 11 players who play, they need to go and put out a statement and say, look, Chelsea's still a football club, still a team which has a chance of still winning the Champions League regardless of what happened. But that's where they have to get that sort of positivity back around the squad.